please silence your electronic devices at this time. Also, we will be broadcasting live on local channel 23 and Facebook and YouTube. But just to let you know, even if we have to take a recess or a short break, Facebook will continue to broadcast live. And I see Mr. Atalik, and bienvenido, Mr. Atalik. So that's all I have as far as administrative matters before we begin. Mr. Babauta, Obi, radio? Yes. Okay, so we'll begin. Good afternoon, everyone. It is now 1:05 p.m., Wednesday, July 26th, and we are back from recess. Prior to the recess this morning, we were examining the credentials of Ms. Michelle Olopai Joab, nominated by Governor Palacios to serve as a member of the Civil Service Commission. So I want to welcome everyone here today, this afternoon, to your Senate chambers. This afternoon, we will begin the examination of the credentials of former governor, retired Governor Juan Babauta, and Ms. Mariah Manibusan Barcinas, both nominated to serve as a board member on the Commonwealth Health Corporation Board of Directors. And if there are no objections from the members, I would like to go back to public comments, even though we've concluded that portion of the agenda this morning. I will go back to public comments to receive any oral testimony or written in support of or in opposition of the nominees this afternoon. So I now open the floor for public comments. You may proceed, sir.
Good afternoon, Madam Chair, Babauta, and this August committee. My name is Gregorio Q. Castro, currently the President and CEO of the Pacific Engineering Group and Services. I would like to take this opportunity to openly support the Governor's and Lieutenant Governor's appointment for the confirmation of former Juan N. Babauta for the Commonwealth Health Corporation Board of Trustees representing the island of Saipan. I am most certain that most of us are well aware of Mr. or former Babauta's past experience, but I would like to highlight some of them. I have known Mr. or former Babauta since I came back from the military and when I worked as the Deputy Director for the Commonwealth Utilities Corporation. I witnessed and supported his leadership when he was in Washington, D.C. as the Washington representative, as the Sinamay Governor, and the first Chief Executive Officer of CHCC, which I worked with him during those periods. I'm confident that he is one of the most qualified candidates for the position as Commonwealth Healthcare Corporation Board of Trustees. Observing Mr. Babauta's solid leadership, experiences, and great care of the health and welfare of the public throughout the years, he deserved to be a member of the Commonwealth Healthcare Corporation Board of Trustees. Former Governor Babauta leads by example, in which his leadership and loyalty were found both inspiring and motivating by many government agencies, businesses, and the people of the Sinamay. His efforts and decisive methods throughout the years led to the success of numerous infrastructures and a lot of accomplishment on the Sinamay. He does not hesitate to challenge anyone as long as it benefits the public interest. He has strong family values, an ethical foundation, and he would do what is right. He's intelligent, dedicated, and impartial. I am confident that former Babauta exhibits many of the qualities that are essential for the CNMI as a member of this board. I highly support the confidence of Governor Palacios and Lieutenant Governor Apatang for the appointment of former Governor Babauta's appointment, and I hope that you will all carefully consider his appointment. Thank you very much, Madam Chair and this August committee.
Jesus Mase, Mr. Castro. The floor is still open.
Good afternoon, members, Chairwoman. Tawabe Fino Samoro, kumusin
Senyor.
niya na lawit.
Consigue.
Inano si Kerry Ramos, ginin ni Islan Lupta. Kaya zo pago giminan mizo ti suspetsa na parogagi hagas magasuloki si Juan. Para pago na confirmation. Daw gi magay finato kasi akan mommy, kas Mariah. At kaya zo pago giminan mizo para si familia ni siya man matupago na oni. At torurita kumumprendi problema ni bat kunaireta papaluta dan bagizan hulo. Lao sen bonito na finally guaha mapunta para luta. Kulanista kume un anyo na tempo na itaza representative din ginin luta. Da megay man malofan na man credit cut na issue. Sen magufo sa Magic Hobin. About time na tatutuhon pumega halumi man hubenta. Isti na palabra, mabiba antes na hagas no resulta Lieutenant Governor as Benjamin Taiskan Manglona para man hobin. Ano den fan eskwela, biram zo tate, then setbi publiko azuda tau-tauta. Pos bonito sa ma pega halom para fan azuda si Mariah. Mas mo na bonito este, hobin, zan, Spencer zo boss, dinosaur. Lao, mga man pinababa sa iman mapus na tempulo ki ginin man hobin. Man manay tsansa. Pos malik na tanay loki tsansa hobin. Tausa iantigo na hinaso, dan inuibo na hinaso. Para tanagwaha, mas adilanto gitanota. Si Mariah na patgon distinedi kiki, karinyosa. Si Yaya ay naagang. Hanunatan si Mariah at sinatgyaw, ay iti finatsatsalik ko, karinyosa. Enigi custombre niya, tangkulo irespeto. Dahil na hinanaw, di binawagawa ni respeto. Si Mariah, apises, umanaw mi eskwela, gay respeto na patgon. Zan ready po fanazuda. Sa mi goit, kofsi niya sumagasan lago, sa lago gwan isweto. La umanaw magi. Está ready po fanazuda, malada tanay tansa. Eno, gagagawam zo. Kwenta gi familia ni matisinya man matupago na momento. O gagagawam zo, neno na favor. San ploki, parehagas magaso. Adman na tempo na fatsutsui si Zan disi. Kana 12 years boss, no? The megay hinalaw. Giningwiza. Sisinya, banti man na zuda. Sa mis mamagufa. Para aksepta. Nabala tanay sansa. Sa bonito sa karera. Tanafanada niya manamko sa ni manhobin. Para tanagwa dilanto gitanota. Again, si Jesus Basi, inano si Kerry Ramos.
Jesus Mase, Senor Ramos. The floor is still open.
Good afternoon, Chairperson Babauta, Senator Paul Manglona, Senator Donald Manglona. My name is Warren Villagomez. I'm here to testify in support of the nomination of Juan Babauta to serve as a member of the Board of Trustees of the Commonwealth Healthcare Corporation. I've known Mr. Babauta for many years. I've worked with him when he was the CEO of CHCC from 2011 to 2013. As the CEO of the corporation, Mr. Babauta had integrity, great leadership skills, and was passionate about public health. He was instrumental in transitioning Department of Public Health to the corporation. Mr. Babauta was also a former senator, our governor for 4 years. He knows and understands how our government operates and how to guide and assist CHCC with its mission and responsibilities. As a friend, Mr. Babauta is an honest and sincere person. He loves the CNMI and its people, and he continues to accept the call to serve the people. Mr. Babauta would be a tremendous asset to CHC. I humbly ask you to confirm his nomination. CHCC board, thank you, members, but I also want to include my support to the nominee for the island of Rhoda, Ms. Barcinas. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Villagomez. The floor is still open.
Good afternoon, Madam Chair, Senator Silino Babauta,
Good afternoon.
and to the members of this honorable committee. My name is Julian Arcomocho, Supervisor for the Child Protective Services under DYS. I have been the immediate supervisor for Mariah for the past 5 years, and she's always ready to tackle any challenges that comes her way every day. I highly recommend Ms. Barcinas to the Commonwealth Health Care Corporation Board of Trustees to represent the island of Rhoda. I know that she will be a great asset for the people of Rhoda to ensure that their health and wellness will be of utmost priority. Thank you.
This is a small state, Mr. Camacho. The floor is still open.
Good afternoon, Chairwoman Babauta and members of this honorable body. My name is Margie S. Mendiola, and I am here in support of Mariah Barcinas' nomination to the Commonwealth Healthcare Corporation Board of Trustees representing the island of Rhoda. First and foremost, I am very grateful to have known Mariah for a few years now, and I am honored to have witnessed her true commitment to our community's well-being. Mariah is one of the most smart, driven, and positive persons I know. She is very interested and compassionate about our community's healthcare system. I believe that Mariah will work tirelessly to ensure that every patient and their families feel valued and supported throughout their medical journey by developing an environment of trust and responsiveness within CHCC. As a psychology degree holder, and her years of experience as a child and family advocate, Mariah understands the vital role of our healthcare system. She is passionate about how our physical and mental health plays a huge role in our daily lives. I am confident that if confirmed, she will advocate for the people of Rhoda and our communities in ensuring that patients receive the support they need. Respectfully, CNMI resident Margie S. Mendiola.
Thank you, Ms. Mendiola. The floor is still open.
Good afternoon, honorable members of this esteemed committee. My name is Ali Tamanya Ogo, and today I stand before you to express my wholehearted support for an exceptional individual who is more than qualified to serve as a member of the Commonwealth Healthcare Corporation Board of Trustees. This individual's accomplishments and dedication to the well-being of others make her an outstanding candidate for this important role. With a background in psychology, Ms. Barcinas possesses a deep understanding of the human mind and the significance of mental health in overall well-being. This expertise will undoubtedly bring a unique perspective to our healthcare corporation, ensuring that the well-being of our patients remains a top priority. But it doesn't end there. As an employee of the Division of Youth Services, Child Protective Services, her commitment to being a child advocate and family advocate speaks volumes about her character and passion for making a difference in people's lives, most especially those part of our vulnerable population. She has consistently shown unwavering support for families, standing up for their rights and ensuring that their voices are heard. In today's fast-paced world, numerous complex health issues are becoming increasingly frequent, and it is essential to have someone as young, energetic, and more than capable who will fight for families and prioritize their health on the board. Our candidate, Ms. Barcinas, embodies that spirit and will be a strong voice for the vulnerable communities we serve. She has demonstrated time and again that she has the empathy and compassion necessary to address the unique challenges faced by those in need. By electing her to serve as a member of the Board of Trustees, we will be gaining a valuable asset, one whose qualifications and dedications align perfectly with our hospital's mission to provide the highest standard of care for our patients. Together, we can ensure that our sole healthcare corporation of the CNMI continues to be a beacon of hope and healing for all, with a firm commitment to comprehensive healthcare and support for families in our community. With that being said, I respectfully ask this esteemed body to join all of us in supporting this outstanding individual, Ms. Mariah Barcinas, as she embarks on this new journey of serving as a member of the board. Together, we can make a significant impact on those lives, on the lives of those who we care for, and create a brighter, healthier future for all. Growing up, I was classmates with Mariah in Boise, Idaho. Fast forwarding time, coincidentally, we moved back to start our lives and start work. I had the opportunity to work side by side with her through partnerships with DYS, and she's not just a hardworking go-getter for herself, but I could say that she's a hardworking go-getter for the people around her. And that includes people that she knows and people that she doesn't know. Ms. Barcinas is educated. She knows a lot of things. But like they say, we're young, right? She's young. So there's a lot of things she doesn't know. But she's not afraid to tell you that she doesn't know. But she's also not afraid to tell you that she'll do her research and figure it out. There are solutions to be found with every problem. And with Ms. Barcinas, it's just a matter of time before she finds it. Thank you.
Cesar Mossy, Mr. Ogle, the floor is still open.
Good afternoon, Madam Chair and distinguished senators of this august body. My name is Thomas Sangailen Teboteb, and I am here to express my support for the Honorable Juan Babauta. He's still my governor. I consider his vast experience, having known him working with the Commonwealth Planning Agency before becoming a senator, moving on to Washington, D.C., and then by him becoming our governor, as Selena can attest. I think the impression that I get from John is that, one, he's very good at listening. He listens a lot before he arrives at a decision. Whether it's popular or not, he likes to listen a lot more, talk less, but mean more. And when you consider his background, having lived in Tanapak Village, then going, making it through the secondary school system, post-secondary school system in the mainland, and even dealing with cabinet level officials in DC, and then coming home and being able to, analyze all those things all together. I think his vast experiences, says it all. With that, I express my full support for his appointment, and I commend the governor and lieutenant for them doing it. Thank you, Tiro.
Cesar Mossy, Mr. Tabitab. The floor is still open.
Good afternoon, Madam Chair and distinguished members of this honorable committee, Senator Poe in particular, and Senator Manglona and other members. For the record, my name is Felipe Q. Atlic from the beautiful city of Gualarai, where the governor presently residing. The nomination of Juan Babauta by the governor becomes the nominee of the Commonwealth of the Northern Marianas, of which I am here to place my full support for the nomination of the nominee, Mr. former Governor Honorable Juan Babauta. Madam Chair, this committee is blessed to receive such a distinguished, honorable person that ever be on record. He has served an honorable positions based from the legislature to the governorship up to the highest elected official to the U.S. Congress. Mr. Babauta credential, Your Honor, is very useful, that it can be of great help to the people of the Northern Marianas, and in particular serving the Board of Trustees for the CHCC. He has a huge obligation to review whatever that it needs to be reviewed and amend anything that needs to be corrected. With that, Madam Chair, I am also like to extend my other support to the other nominee, and my nomination in support of the former Governor Babauta should not be misconstrued in relationship with what I have with him. In fact, by propinquity, Madam Chair, I'm not a distant relative to Mr. Honorable Governor Babauta. I am his uncle. So my testimony in support of that is basically based on his credentials and the past distinguished outstanding services to the people of the Northern Marianas. And that concludes my testimony, Madam Chair.
Senor Atalik, the floor is still open. If there are no other interested parties to present oral or written testimony, I will close that portion of the agenda at this time. And for the record, we also received a letter of support from Ms. Esther Lizalma Munya, the Chief Executive Officer of Commonwealth Health Center Corporation, in support of both nominees, as well as letters of support for Ms. Mariah Barcinas from Miss Juanisha Villanueva, Mr. Charles A. Manglona from District 7, Municipality of Rhoda, Ms. Laura Ogle from the 1st Senatorial District, Municipality of Rhoda, Ms. Vivian T. Sablon, Administrator for the Division of Youth Services, DCCA, Mr. Den Manglona, Professional Engineer, Ms. Christine C. Aldon, Ms. Quaid, Mr. Quaid, and I'm sorry if I butcher your last name, I will try not to, Nirongor, Ms. Anna B. Adda, Ms. Alice Mundo, and Ms. Shalane A. Manglona, residents of Rhoda. For the record also, the committee did not receive any letters in opposition of the nominations for retired Governor Juan Babauta and Ms. Barcinas. At this time, I would like to invite the Special Assistant for Administration, Mr. Oscar Babauta, and both nominees to please come and join us in the chamber. And Mr. Babauta's role here is to formally introduce the nominees and present them to the committee. And while we wait for them to get settled, I just wanted to let everybody know that each member of this committee has an inherent responsibility and the prerogative to ask probing questions of the nominees and exploratory questions as well. And that is the legislature exercising its authority under the Constitution and laws of the Commonwealth to vet the nominations and credentials of nominations from the executive branch. It is a procedure unique to the Senate. I now open the floor for Mr. Babauta for his remarks.
Since Masita Lumbiay, Madam Chair, I hope you're not tired of seeing my face here daily. I know that for a fact that in an hour and a half, we'll be having another hearing for our CPA nominee for the Board of Directors. Once again, I thank you, Madam Chair, and your esteemed members, Senator Paul, Senator Donald, for the opportunity this afternoon to once again appear and present to you the EAJ Committee, the administration's nominees. For the record, my name is Oscar M. Babauta, the Special Assistant for Administration. And on behalf of Governor Honor I. Palacios and that of Lieutenant Governor David M. Apateng, I thank you once again for the opportunity this afternoon to appear before you today. I am officially here to formally introduce the governors and the lieutenant governor's nominee for our Commonwealth Healthcare Corporation Board of Trustees. None other than my good brother, former Governor Juan N. Babauta, a senator, a Washington representative, and back to the glory days of serving our community in the Marianas. And representing the 3rd Senatorial District from the island of Saipan, to the immediate right, my right is Ms. Mariah Amber Barcinas, representing the 1st Senatorial District, the island of Florida. The Honorable Juan M. Babauta served the Commonwealth with distinct honor as he entered the political arena in 1986 and was elected senator for the Northern Marianas Islands 3rd Senatorial District, Saipan. He then became a resident representative for the United States in Washington, D.C., serving 3 terms from 1990 to 2002, prior to him becoming a governor in 2002 to 2006. Mr. Babauta has no doubt, to all of us, has obtained his BA degree of Science in American History, a Master of Arts in Political Science from Eastern New Mexico University, and of course, a Master of Science degree in Health Planning and Administration from the University of Cincinnati, to which he became the CEO of the Commonwealth Health Planning Committee towards building our first modern hospital in the Northern Marianas. Ms. Barcinas, Mariah Amber Barcinas, on the other hand, is a professional individual with an experience in both public and private sector. Ms. Barcinas is currently with the Department of Community and Cultural Affairs, Division of Youth Services, Child Protective Services, performing intervention programs. Ms. Barcinas received her BA degree in psychology, minor in communication at Concordia University of Portland, and received her Master's of Science in 2022. Governor Palacios and Lieutenant Governor Apateng placed their full trust and confidence in both Mr. Babauta and Ms. Barcinas
to serve the Commonwealth Health Corporation Board of Trustees. I know they stand ready to answer to your questions and present your plans for the future health of our Commonwealth Health Care Corporation. Their long history of professional services, credentials, and commitment to serving the Commonwealth in this capacity makes them a viable candidate. Therefore, the administration and the entire administration team kindly ask for your expeditious approval so that we once again continue to roll forward our healthcare programs in the Commonwealth. Once again, thank you for the opportunity to introduce the two nominees to this August body, and we look forward to your favorable confirmation, or rather consideration and confirmation to the full Senate in the coming days. Thank you, Madam Chair, and I will see you in hour and a half. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Babauta. At this time, I would like to invite both nominees to please rise and raise your right hand, and I will recognize the Legislative Assistant, Mr. Macaranas, to administer the oath. May I ask you to please rise and raise your right hand?
Mr. Juan Babauta and Ms. Mariah Barcinas, you do solemnly swear under the penalty of perjury that the testimony you shall give in the matter at hand shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. Thank you.
Thank you. You may be seated. For the record, Mr. Juan Babauta was nominated by Governor Palacios on June 23, 2023 to represent the 3rd Senatorial District, the municipality of Saipan, and the Northern Islands. And Ms. Mariah Barcinas was nominated on May 16th, 2023 to represent the 1st Senatorial District, the municipality of Rhoda. At this time, I will open up the floor to the nominees if you would like to make any opening remarks, and we can begin with you, Ms. Barcinas.
Half a day and good afternoon, Chairwoman Babauta and members of the EAGI committee. My name is Mariah Barcinas, and I come before you all today to express my interest in serving as a member of the Commonwealth Healthcare Corporation Board of Trustees to represent the island of Rhoda. The Commonwealth Healthcare Corporation functions as the CNMI's only hospital and includes several departments, including the emergency department, a dialysis unit, all public health functions, outpatient clinics, and mental and behavioral health services. For about 45 years, CHCC has been committed in ensuring that every person in the CNMI has access to healthcare. I believe that my qualifications and personal strengths align with CHCC Board of Trustees' needs and mission. My experience as a qualified mental health associate and my current role as an intervention specialist at the Division of Youth Services, Child Protective Services, further enhances my understanding of the diverse needs of our people in the CNMI. The Board of Trustees is accountable to the hospital and the CNMI for overseeing the hospital's best interests. If given the opportunity to serve as a member of the CHCC Board of Trustees, I will do my part to ensure that the hospital's overall mission and best interests are always at the forefront. Part of the responsibilities as a Board of Trustee is to develop long-term goals and policies for the hospital by making strategic plans and decisions. As such, it is my plan, if given the opportunity to serve on the board, to work towards improving healthcare efficiency and responding to the needs of our community on all 3 islands by emphasizing and supporting outreach efforts and education. We see firsthand our families having to travel outside the CNMI to receive the healthcare treatment they need. Then we read in the news about the medical referral dilemma. I understand our island's demands for scarce healthcare resources. It is for this very reason that I vow to be a steward to ensure the most efficient utilization of the CHCC's facilities and resources. Thank you all for your time and consideration. I want to also take this time to thank my family and friends, including my DYS family, most especially my CPS family, for their continued support. To Governor Palacios and Lieutenant Governor Apatang, thank you for your confidence in my leadership to carry out the mandates of the CHCC Board of Trustees. Chairwoman Babauta and members of the EAGI Committee, thank you all for this opportunity to come before you today.
Thank you, Ms. Barcinas. Mr. Babauta, the floor is open for you.
And to the two senators that are here representing this committee, I thank you for, appreciate the time to be here. And first, I would like to express my appreciation to those that came forward to support my nomination as well as the nomination of my hopefully co-partner here on the board. And I just want to let them know that I appreciate that very much. I have a very long statement here to make. I get right to the issue of the healthcare delivery system in the CNMI, but I will make it short. Should the Senate confirm me as a board member, the following are areas of interest that as a member I would focus on. Number one, I like to see the CHCC to be better financially, so that CHC, the hospital, and the health centers in Rhoda and Tinian can deliver better healthcare for the people. And secondly, I would like to see that we can improve the health status of the people of the CNMI. That's a very broad statement and a very broad issue, and I'm happy to get into those issues. If you look at the health status of the people of the CNMI, it really is an indicator of the kind of healthcare delivery system that we should need to provide care for our people. And third, to improve the quality of healthcare by adopting best practices. It's always good to look at other jurisdictions' way of doing business and delivering care to the people. And it'll be in that kind of direction that I will be working with my other colleagues on the board, should I be approved by this committee and the Senate, to be working with the other members closely. And number four, I would like to, in the future, revisit Public Law 19-78, which is the law that amended the previous law that created the Healthcare Corporation. I want to revisit some of the provisions of the law to further clarify the roles of between the CNMI government and CHC in the delivery of healthcare in the CNMI. I feel that the delivery of healthcare in the CNMI requires a very strong and unwavering partnership between the government and CHC. Without this partnership, CHC cannot do it alone. There's just no doubt about that. Both have critical roles that needs to be made clear and concise. So that's what I'd be looking forward to doing, and I'd be very glad to go into more details on each one of these areas that I mentioned, and I look forward to discussing this with the committee. Thank you.
Thank you, Governor Babauta. At this time, I will open up the floor for the members to begin the question and answer program portion of our agenda. But first, before I do that, how are you guys feeling?
Good.
And I will say good morning, even though it's afternoon, because Governor Babauta only says good morning, whether it's afternoon or evening. So good morning.
My
both of you.
apologies, Madam Chair. Good afternoon.
It's no offense or anything, but I've known him quite some time. And for the record also, former Governor Babauta was my former boss when he was governor. However, this committee is required to submit conflicts of interest, and I have not conflicted myself out, as I have no pecuniary interest in the relationship I have with Mr. Juan Babauta, nor do I have any business or other than second degree, third degree familial relationship with him. And at this time, I will open up the floor for the members. Recognize Senator Donald Manglona.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and good afternoon, former Governor and Ms. Barcinas. And thank you for coming in today and for just accepting this nomination to the CHCC Board of Trustees. Mr. Ramos earlier mentioned this quote by former LT Benjamin Manglona, and that's, going out and getting your degree and experiences and then coming back and sharing that experiences with their people. And so thank you both for doing that and for coming back and contributing to our community. I guess just general questions for both of you, and then I'll try to go down into specifics with each individual. But to start off, I guess for both of you, what are some of the biggest challenges that you think the CHCC is facing right now, and your plans to address them? And I know, Governor, you mentioned 4 specific topics, but just a general concern about CHCC and your plans to address those. Ms. Barcinas, if you want to begin.
I know after reviewing the transition report and as well as talking to some constituents on Rhoda, I believe that there are a lot of issues. One of the ones that were brought up to me were the lack of resources, especially at the Rhoda Health Clinic. And I believe that the root of a lot of the issues that CHC faces is really the scarce resources. I believe that in order to address the problems head on, we need to also address the resources. And if confirmed, I can do that by reviewing the regulations and working alongside the other members to develop policies and procedures that align with the regulations. And as well as looking at available resources and new avenues, both at the local and federal level, and to look at how we could make healthcare more sustainable in all 3 islands.
Senator, that was a very good question, and I appreciate that. My biggest concern right now, there are a lot of things, a lot of issues surrounding CHCC, the hospital, the health center in Rhode and Tinian. But when I look at the payer mix, meaning the revenue that comes into the CHCC, I see that Medicaid payments comprise of about 61% of the revenues. Medicare is about 20%. Private payers, these are private insurance, are about 19%, and self-pay is about 1%. So the picture is such that the Commonwealth Healthcare Corporation is heavily reliant on Medicare and Medicaid payments. And one of the things that concerns me a lot is the development of the Medicaid State Health Plan. As you know, the Medicaid State Health Plan is a state-federal partnership with partnership that has to be developed by the state. The state Medicaid plan is not a function of CHCC. The state Medicaid health plan is a function of the CNMI government. And so what goes into the state plan is going to directly impact the financial standing and the CHC being the receiving end of what comes out of the state plan. So I would be working very closely with as a member in the development of the Medicaid state health plan. So make sure that what we put into the state plan benefits the Commonwealth Healthcare Corporation and other health clinics throughout the islands. And it is very crucial. And one of the things that I learned about CMS, CMS being Medicare and Medicare services, is that if you communicate with them and you articulate the issues that involves the people of the Sinai, they tend to listen, and they can be flexible. So if I get the opportunity to work with the development of the state health plan with the Sinai government, and then work with our federal partners in Region 9, that we can enhance the ability of the healthcare corporation to benefit from what we put into the state health plan, and which is very crucial financially. So that's one of the things that concerns me a lot, and I look forward to working with the staff at CHCC, the other board members, in carving out or putting into the state health plan provisions that benefits us down the road financially, CHC being the receiving end, and the benefits that comes out of the state plan.
Thank you both for those responses. And I'm glad you brought that up, Governor, regarding CMS, and that currently, we in our recent discussions with CEO Munya, that was one of the topics that was brought up, and that we're trying to look for other avenues in addressing the needs of the referral system, and that's looking at foreign, or our foreign neighbor countries that could provide the services to our people, but allowing Medicaid to pay for these services in these foreign countries. And so one of the recommendations that she made was for the state plan to be amended to include these foreign countries that can accept these services. I think if I can just go into Governor's points. The second point that you mentioned was to improve the health status, and you mentioned that was a broad explanation, but can you just briefly elaborate on that?
If I may just go back to that point on the foreign healthcare providers that you mentioned, Senator, that's very important. And the reason why we cannot send off island for care to foreign hospitals is that Medicaid would not reimburse Medicaid qualified patients sent off to foreign hospitals, because it is not in the state plan and it is not CMS approved. And so therefore, that's one of the things that if we work in shaping what goes into the state plan, one of them would be exactly that, which you mentioned, is that we want to include that in the state plan and have that be approved by CMS so that we can have the ability to have Medicaid reimbursed Medicaid patients being sent off to foreign hospitals. Your question about the health status of the people of the CNMI, or?
Yeah, you mentioned that as one of your initiatives.
I have a lot of notes here, and Senator, again, you asked a very important question, and that is the health status of the people of the CNMI. And when you look at the statistics and the data, it is very concerning. Let me just kind of go over some of these figures. 20% of the adult population of the Sinai, based on the 2020 census, which I got from our Department of Commerce, 20% of the adult population are diabetic, and 50% of the population is hypertensive, and 1 out of 5 have high cholesterol. That's why my good friend and colleague, Liling John Reyes, always have gout. And 1 in 4 not getting enough fruits and vegetables. And then 1 in 3 have very little physical activity. So I can conclude from this that the health status of the people of the Sinamay is very concerning. And this is what is driving healthcare costs. The less unhealthy the population is, the cost of healthcare is driven up. The more unhealthy the population is, the more healthy the population is, cost is driven down. The more unhealthy the population is, the cost is driven up. So one of the things that I would like to work with with my other members on issues concerning the hospital would be public health. I would like to see more primary and preventative health care being given more attention as opposed to the focus now, which is basically just curative, people getting sick, and just that's all where focus is. Sick people, we're sending them off island, taking care of them. We ought to be looking at more primary care and preventative care so that a healthier population would drive costs down as opposed to unhealthy population driving costs up.
Thank you. And, I'm glad you brought up those points again, because just looking at the previous reports of even uncompensated care pre-pandemic, we were looking at 18 million for 2018, another 18.9 for 2019. It dropped significantly low in 2021 and 22 because of the presumptive eligibility. But now that that's over, we may see an increase in uncompensated care. But you did say there should be a shift in focus in public health, because now that the HNP, the medical referral, is now back to CHCC, that might pose a bigger problem in terms of how can we continue to cover the cost for these uncompensated care at the same time medical referral. Maybe now we can hear from Ms. Mariah, any ideas as to how we can kind of address those issues in trying to reduce the cost of these operating expenses while addressing the issues that are surrounding the CNMI?
Yes, so I will first review the regulations within the Medical Referral Services office and work alongside the other members to develop policies and procedures that align with those regulations. I will also work with them to look at available resources for medical referral services, look at how we could make it more sustainable, and of course we have to consider a lot of factors like hotel accommodations, ground transportations, and other factors. But I think reviewing the regulations first, because I can imagine that there are a lot of guidelines too on the federal level too that we need to follow. So reviewing the regulations would be my first step.
I guess in addition to reviewing regulations, maybe looking at and possibly lobbying to the legislature, especially the House. And I mean, one of the ways that we kind of saw to address this situation was the possibility of increasing taxes on tobacco or sugar and sweetened beverage products. so that not only does it become more expensive to purchase these, it kind of maybe, I don't know, maybe it would deter people from spending more on these products, making it harder for them to attain, while also, I don't know, maybe the increase in these taxes could be used to support medical referral or programs that would, provide more information to the people to try to address the bigger problems like cancer or diabetes or all these hypertension and cholesterol. I know that the hospital is working on trying to push out more programs. Recently, the Walkability Institute, which I was invited to be a part of, was dormant for quite some time, but it looks like they're now reviving that. And so I hope that Ms. Mariah, as a representative for Rhoda, which the seat has been vacant for quite some time now, is now in there to kind of help address the needs and how we can also provide those services to the other districts. Governor, you were very instrumental in this Public Law 1978, in the sense that you were part of this transition between public health into a corporation. Do you see some of the challenges from back then that are still prevalent today? And if so, what do you think are the challenges that are trying to prevent the hospital from addressing these issues? Or if you've seen improvement, how can you further expound on that?
Senator, a very, very good question. I really appreciate that. When the corporation was created, they gave it a $5 million seed money to operate on, assuming that the law assumed that the rest of the money would be revenues that the hospital would develop. And so we went from a $45 million line department, public health, Department of Health, to a $5 million seed money. And if you're a CPA and you go from that point to this point where you go from 45 million to $5 million seed money, you really should be filing for bankruptcy. But we kept the hospital alive. And one of the things that kept it alive was the proposal that we put forward in before CMS, Centers for Medicare and Medicaid Services, to look at giving us the ability to adopt the certified public expense methodology, which they approved for us. And that, in my opinion, saved the hospital. It saved us from closing down the hospital essentially. And if we close down CHC, we might as well close down the health centers in Rhode and Tinan as well, because the bulk of the money started coming in from CMS. There's other things that I would like to kind of work with the legislature with, and if confirmed by the Senate, you're going to be seeing a lot more of me and the other members coming to the legislature, because I view the partnership between the healthcare corporation and this legislative body as very essential, very important, and we will continue to share information with you and to talk about options, about how we can better deliver healthcare to the people of Sinai. Our books will, and this, in my opinion, will be wide open. We were going to share. I will share with you everything about our financial standing, our financial situation, because that's the only way that I feel that this body can help us, if we're open with everybody. And so those are the things that come to mind. I also, just kind of going back to your comment about the pre-pandemic and the uncompensated care and how these two items relate. We get the presumptive Medicaid program that CMS extended to us, and a lot of people took advantage of that. And so but that's over now. And so I'm projecting that we're going to be looking at an increase, going back, an increase in the need for referring patients off island. There's no question also that there are medical care services that we're just not going to be able to deliver here in the CNMI. So we have to send patients off island. And the commitment by this body, this government, is essential for us to continue to do that. And I look at doing that as being, we have to create this partnership. We have to get a commitment from the people, from the government, in order for us to continue the medical referral program.
Thank you for that. And, you know, again, just to elaborate more or expound on one of your points, improving healthcare by adopting best practices. I think that your comment on working closely with the legislature could also assist us in understanding, you know, this idea of universal healthcare that has been thrown around. I did, during our budget hearing with CHCC, ask Ms. Caitlin, CSO, Ms. Kate, to also look into that. But if the trustees can also kind of assist the legislature in trying to see which jurisdiction we can mirror off of, and trying to see how we can adopt and implement this universal healthcare that is, I guess, that makes sense for the CNMI. If that's even a possibility, but at least starting off with the feasibility study to see how that would work for the CNMI. So,
I think you were reading my notes, because I have that here. I said in the second point that I made is to work with the legislature to explore options for universal coverage. That's going to be a challenge. It's kind of the idea of Medicare for all. And, you know, of course, that's a federal issue. And Medicare for all, I don't think is going to ever materialize, because, you know, it's going to require a lot of money for the federal government to adopt a Medicare for all. But if we can look at the CNMI and look at universal care, I mean, we can look at options on how to do this. And this is a study or a task for the future for us, and on how we can provide coverage for everyone. I welcome this challenge. And as a board member, you know, these are things that excites me. As a board member, I'm not going to just sit and stay idle and twiddle my thumb and remain business as usual. One of the things that I look forward to is working with the federal partners, primarily CMS. You know, those people, when you present the issues to them and you talk about genuinely about how we can improve the healthcare delivery system of the people of the CNMI and improving the health status of the people of the CNMI, they listen and they're very sympathetic. So this is delivering healthcare, good healthcare in the CNMI. It's not just, this is not just a local level issue. This is we have a great partner in CMS, and we ought to take advantage of that partner. And I look forward to facilitating that.
Thank you. And I hope to work closely with you, if confirmed, to try to identify ways in which we can improve that. In closing, Ms. Mariah, I think that in this day and age, mental health is such a huge priority with the current administration on the national level, as well as here, and trying to address the lack thereof of professionals in that field. And so I hope that with your degree in psychology and your experiences as a advocate for families and youth, being in CPS, I hope that you can bring some of that expertise into the trustee board of trustees, and see how we can also expand services, mental health services to our people, maybe, and trying to see how we can attract and bring in people in the behavioral specialist or mental health field. And so in closing, I just want to again congratulate you both for taking this step in trying to assist our people in trying to solve one of the biggest issues that we're facing today, and that's healthcare. Not in the sense that they're not fully providing services, but because it's such a huge corporation that requires a lot of financial support, not just from federal government, but also the CNMI. I yield at this time, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Senator Manglona. I recognize Senator Paul Manglona.
Chairwoman. First, I want to thank you two for accepting the nomination, and I want to thank our governor actually and our lieutenant governor for appointing another two excellent nominees. One today is a young person, and the other one is as old as me. One is a female, another female nominee from the governor. We had many already, two yesterday, excellent nominees, and one is male, and one is my granddaughter, and the other one is my brother. So I'm not going to ask questions, Chair. I don't want to be criticized, but I think we heard this afternoon their commitment and their plans, and we know that they will offer their hard work, and I think we can sleep better at night knowing that the challenges that we're going to be facing with CHCC and public health system in the CNMI, and them representing us. I have every confidence, and I'm looking forward to working with you two on many issues, one of which is, as was discussed, is medical referral. Since this administration came in, unfortunately, faced with the many financial issues and challenges. That's all we've been getting here, phone calls, people trying to go off island, or already, by the way, in San Diego or in Hawaii or in Guam, being chased out and from the hotels, or being told to, from now on, put all the medical expenses. These are issues that come back to us, and our big challenges for Rhoda. I think it's the hemodialysis system. We need to somehow figure out what to do about that. We have many patients here on Saipan, and I think with what's going on in the U.S., even on Guam, they have centers, hemodialysis centers all over the villages now. So with telemedicine, and with advancement in technology, I'm sure that we can cut the cost down and still be able to have these services on Rhoda and maybe in Tinian. The other issue is on medical referral is at times, for example, when we find some help financially for medical referral, sometimes Rhoda and Tinian gets left behind, because we get calls that, well, they give subsistence allowance to those in Hawaii or San Diego. They do not give subsistence allowance to the patients from Rhode and Tinian because it's a different source of funding. But nonetheless, the reason they go off island is because the services is not available there, and they have to come to Saipan where it's available here on Saipan. So I know that you're both aware of what's going on. So I'm just going to say that I'm kind of looking forward to working with the governor and Mariah to address many of these issues. So that's what I have, Madam Chair. Thank you, Jesus Monse.
Thank you, Senator Manglona. Ms. Barcinas, if confirmed, we've already heard from Governor Babauta. If confirmed to serve as a member of the Board of Trustees for CHCC, what would be your priorities to improve CHCC, its financial standing, and the services that they provide?
So one of the biggest issues, especially after talking to residents of Rhoda, is really the medical referral. If confirmed, I want to potentially revisit the referral program, identify any gaps, and I can do this by helping implement policies and procedures to prioritize healthcare treatment and accommodations within and outside the Commonwealth.
Thank you. Governor Babauta, you mentioned earlier about having a partnership with the central government, partnership between central government and CHCC. What do you envision that partnership to look like? Is it 50-50? I guess if you could elaborate for us, what role would the central government play in the services provided by CHCC or its financial standing?
Not really sure and clear on your question, but
you mentioned earlier that you envision a partnership because CHCC cannot make it alone. There has to be a
that's right.
More support, if I'm hearing it correctly. So what do you envision?
I understand now. As you know, I'm sorry if I'm going to be repeating myself here, but the development of the Medicaid state plan is a function of the Sinamay government. There's a federal-state partnership. It is not, the development of the state plan is not a function of CHC, but we can have some input in the development of the state plan, and what goes into the state plan is very key. That's why, and I think that the involvement of the legislature is going to be key here, because we're going to need your support in what goes into the state plan. For example, the inclusion of foreign hospitals or foreign providers for which we can send off medical referral patients that can be recognized and reimbursed by Medicaid. If we cannot, currently that is not in the state plan, and that's why we cannot send Medicaid patients off to those facilities, because Medicaid will not reimburse them. And it requires partnership. If CHC, the corporation, or the board members or the CEO would ever go to CMS in San Francisco, it would be nice to have a member of the legislature accompany us or have a meeting with these officials, whether in San Francisco or here, with a resolution supporting those provisions in the state plan, in the Medicaid state plan that we would attempt to put in. So those are the things. That's the kind of partnership that I foresee in order for us to be successful in in putting together a state plan that addresses the issue, the financial issue, because like I said, what goes in the state plan directly impacts the delivery of healthcare in the CNMI in view of the fact that Medicare and Medicaid together comprise of about 81% of the revenue that goes into CHCC. So they play a major, major role.
Thank you for bringing that up, because I'm glad you're including the legislature in these conversations, because oftentimes, as it is happening now, we know that CHCC is in fact trying to change the state plan, but we're excluded from that conversation, totally excluded, other than being informed that they want to make changes. We don't know what the changes they want to make are. So I'm glad you're including the legislature as a part of that conversation in the negotiations with CMS and CHCC and the central government. Do you have anything further to add, or no?
Madam Chair, if the legislature is not included in the discussion, I'm not going to blame the members of the legislature for not supporting the effort, because you wouldn't know, what's going on. That's why we all have to be sharing information and discussing these issues together. It is very important, because CHCC needs the support of the legislature. There's just no going around that.
Thank you.
The CHCC needs the support of Governor Arnold Palacios as the head of the CNMI government, as governor, and he plays a very important, critical role in the development of the Medicaid state health plan.
Thank you. I want to touch upon the municipality, the health centers in the municipality, and emphasize the need for emergency care in Rota and Tinian. A recent incident was brought up to my attention wherein somebody from Tinian specifically went to the health clinic and was only to come to find out that the doors to the health clinic were closed. This is after hours. So I'd like to ask you, should you be confirmed, to please look into healthcare facilities in the municipalities and see what we can do to help those people, because they are, in need of emergency care as well as those in Saipan. One thing I'd like to touch upon is the federal touchback provision. CHCC in a previous meeting in these very chambers indicated that they will be severely impacted, or moderately maybe impacted. They will stand to lose around 20 to 25 healthcare professionals because of the federal touchback provision. Ms. Barcinas, would you like to chime in on that issue? Federal touchback is the current regulation that will be implemented by the U.S. immigration, wherein contract workers will have to depart the CNMI until their permits or authorization is approved. Would you like to chime in on that and lend us your thoughts on how we can bridge that gap should we lose? This is a very concerning issue, so.
Yes, and I can understand too the how complex it might be because of the federal possible federal regulations. So I would also need to review more on the policies and procedures regarding the touchback.
Thank you. Governor Babauta, would you like to lend us your thoughts on possible solutions to that, or?
Yeah, I kind of brought this issue up of the touchback issue and how that is going to impact the hospital specifically. And the response I got was there's no question that it's going to have an impact. How much of an impact, whether it's going to, as you said, moderately impacted or severely impacted. But I get the sense from the CEO, Esther Muña, that it is not going to be that kind of an impact where it's going to adversely affect the hospital. But there is going to be some effect. And so we need to plan ahead to make sure that we mitigate this issue before it becomes, before it materializes, and we don't want to put the hospital in jeopardy at all. The touchback provision is an issue of the U.S. immigration. We have very little control over that, other than perhaps maybe working with Congressman Kilili to see how he can address this legislatively at the U.S. Congress level. You know, this is a sensitive issue with the U.S. Congress, as you know. They're not looking to amending the touchback provision at all, I heard. So we're going to have to buckle down and see what we can do here at home ourselves.
Thank you. I recognize Senator Paul Manglona.
Thank you. Maybe what the two new nominees can look into once confirmed is, in the first place, why are they solely relying on CW permits? Why don't they look at H1? It's because H1 would take us away from that requirement. So it could be that that's the easiest and most convenient way. But I think that H1 have their advantages also, and especially if the Board of Professional Licensing, as we have been recommending to them, we start to, as a way of generating revenue, we keep bringing this up, is to open up, I guess, take the taking of NCLEX in the cinema. That could bring us revenues in the millions that we're not taking advantage, because there are many nurses that want to take that. They're not necessarily going to be working here, but once they're licensed, even if they go to the U.S., they continue to pay annually the nursing license registration renewal fee. And so H1 may be something that you can discuss so that we don't have to use up our CW permits. Thank you.
Thank you, Senator Paul. Senator Dennis Manglona.
Donald, Madam Chair.
Donald.
And just to add on to that, add on to Senator Paul's recommendation, I think also just looking at NMC and investing in their nursing program. I mean, they've graduated RNs out of NMC, and so maybe also looking at that as another way to increase our capacity at CHCC by using our local resources and our local our graduates of NMC. I just wanted to add on that as you look at ways to solve that issue. But back to you, Chair. But if you're done, I have just a few more. But
I don't have any more questions. And I think just to be safe, I'll refer to both of you as Senator Manglona. And no first names mentioned. I always seem to fumble. Yeah. Well, you may proceed, Senator Manglona.
Now, which one? I think one thing that the chair had brought up was the partnership with the government. And then I was looking back at Ms. Perley. I was like, I think the partnership financially is 1 to 175 million, where right now the CHCC is proposed to get $1 from the general revenues. And so just something that we hope to get out of the CHCC and trustee is to look at other ways to address the shortfall by, again, increasing taxes on certain commodities that could address health needs that affect our health. Another thing to address is again, Senator Paul had mentioned the dialysis. Right now, and I'm learning as I go that the CNMI now offers home dialysis, and I guess it's just trying to advertise it more in a sense where our patients are comfortable doing it and are fully informed of how to operate it so that they can return home and do dialysis at their homes themselves. I know it's still something new. I think from my conversations with dialysis patients is that they're afraid of the outcome. They're afraid of whether they might do the wrong thing that would eventually cause more problems. And so maybe researching more about some of the issues of that, but also trying to build that confidence with our patients in understanding how it works and how that may support them so that they can perform the dialysis themselves comfortably in their own homes. And going over back again to medical referral, especially inter-island medical referral, please look at the response time for emergency services. I know recently, and this was not too long ago, where we lost a child because it took so long for a medevac services to come to Rota and transport them to Guam. And so that's one of the big issues that unlike Tinian, you can easily fly the planes at night to bring over the patients, but Rota's much further destination. And so how can we reduce the response time to address emergency needs? Additionally, the municipality have been burdened with covering some of the lodging costs and transportation costs for inter-island patients. As you know, we have 2 facilities on Saipan that houses these patients, the one over at Aslito and the one at Navy Hill. And part of our contribution is trying to maintain these facilities so that we can further provide these housing to our patients. But we are also burdened by the need to renovate these facilities. And so if CHCC can offer their assistance, because this not only would support the program, but also save the hospital some money, because instead of housing patients at a hotel for on the daily, they can utilize these long-term facilities that would eventually save with CHCC. So those are just additional issues that I wanted to bring up to both of you so that, if confirmed, this is something that you can look at and see how we can address those. Thank you.
Madam Chair,
Go ahead.
I want to share something here with this committee, and if you can give me a couple minutes to do it.
Sure.
I want to share some success stories and the idea of building on to those successes for the future. To me, perhaps one of the biggest success story within the last year. This is to paint the picture that down at the hospital at CHCC is not all doom and gloom, right? So perhaps the biggest success story within the last year is the change in the Medicaid ratio by the U.S. Congress, in which the CNMI share is now 17%. The federal share is 83%. And the 17% is probably the lowest ever, probably the lowest in the nation. I checked around and it's probably is the lowest in the nation. This is largely due to the hard work, and credit should be given where it's due, hard work of Congressman Kilili. He deserves a lot of credit in making this happen. When you look at the history of it, historically, for a long time, Medicaid ratio was 50-50. Federal government puts up $1, we put up $1. Now, all they have to do is they put up 83 cents, we put up 17 cents. So we've gone a long way. So it's, to me, the 83-17 is a success story because it lessens the burden on us financially. So we went from 50 ratio to 55-45 under Obamacare, and then today it's 83, and we cannot find that anywhere. This is significant. To me, this is a success story. The other thing is that before we opened the dialysis center, Senator Donald talking about dialysis, the peritoneal dialysis, that's been going on since I've known in 2000, I think 2004, 2005. Years have passed. So I think that the people who are on peritoneal dialysis are getting comfortable in doing that in their homes. And I hope that if they're still afraid, perhaps there should be more training and so that they are comfortable using that at home. When we opened up the dialysis in around 2005, 2006, the CNMI referred all dialysis patients off island. Can you imagine we have over 200, maybe even close to 250 dialysis patients here on the island? And if we were to refer all 250 off island, we'd be in financial straits. So today, we are treating those patients. The hospital alone, we're treating about 180 patients. And outside dialysis centers, about 60 plus, maybe up to upwards of 80 patients. So this is a success story in which we are now providing dialysis treatment on island as opposed to referring all these patients off island prior to the opening of our dialysis center here in Saipan. Since the CHCC's oncology center, we opened up the oncology center here in 2020. Off-island referrals for oncology-related issues have dropped by over 50%. Again, this is significant because it reduces the cost of referring the medical referral costs for patients going off island. And as you know, oncology is the study of tumors and neoplastic diseases involving the growth of tissue that has no physiological function. And there are a lot of cases that, a lot of incidences of that from the population in general. So it's been a tremendous success to me opening up the oncology center. Orthopedics, I think we have an orthopedist on board in CHC. If not, you may have a visiting one. This also, having an orthopedist, has significantly reduced off-island referrals of orthopedic patients, also close to by 70%. So these are success stories that we sometimes overlook. Yes, orthopedists are like cardiologists, radiologists are expensive. But when you look at the dollar figures and the impact that it has in reducing the cost of referring patients off island, it is very positive. Now, I just want to, looking to the future, to continue on this success, we can look at cancer patients. How do we care for cancer patients here on island? We can open up a cancer center for cancer patients. laboratory services, so we don't have to send blood samples, specimens of island for testing and analysis. We can do the testing here, results be read by a qualified doctor, physician, or pathologist of island and the test results be sent back electronically in an instant. And right now, the laboratory at CHC and Rhoda are the only laboratories with clinical laboratory improvement. This is being CLIA certified. They conduct these labs. They conduct moderate to high complexity tests. Going forward, there's no and to me, one of the ways to lower costs. TNN right now is the only lab that is not CLIA certified. So to me, going forward, there's no reason why TNN cannot be CLIA certified. And this, if we do that, it'll lower, it will cut costs, and we can serve the patients of TNN much better and much faster. So those are the things that I look forward to doing and working with the other board members if confirmed by the Senate. The radiology, for example, we currently offer X-ray, CT, ultrasound, mammogram, and the bones density scans. To improve on radiology, we can expand to other sophisticated equipment, such as MRI and equipment that has to do with urology. Urology has become an issue for older men like myself, who's been viewed upon as a dinosaur. And it comes with age, and so urology is going to be very, very important area of diagnostic services. These are very important because it gives the doctors so much more clarity in their diagnosis and confidence in treating their patients. If we give them good lab results and we give them good radiology results, the doctors, you keep our doctors happy. So those are the areas, the successes that I see being the Medicaid ratio being changed to the lowest ever in CNMI if it benefits us financially. Thank you.
Thank you. If there are no further questions from the members, I'll close up this portion of today's hearing. I do want to say that before the committee dismisses both of you, I want to express the confidence of this committee in your educational achievements and professional experiences. And it would be our privilege as a committee to advance your nomination to recommend confirmation of your nomination to the full Senate body. Governor Babauta, there can be no doubt of your qualifications to serve in any board member. And Ms. Barcinas, we hope that you expand, although you're not in the healthcare per se field, you're in social services. We hope that you continue to expand your knowledge and experience in allied healthcare services. And with that, it would be, again, this committee's privilege to advance your nomination to the full Senate. So thank you, and you are dismissed.
Thank you. Thank you, Senator Donald and Senator Paul and members.
Short recess.
Jesus Mossy.
Ilinala Ipalawan, Sinyabula, Minaletnya, Agan Bravo, Itatataunya.
Yet cervical cancer continues to pose a constant risk to women today due to low awareness.
Cervical cancer pasiye masek wan matan sa kontilo kinyaki. Fingom sumono, pap smear and HPV vaccination isa na kashing tulo kinya.
Dapat ko radil amla mugar. Ego mga laklangan radil. Nagtamarera dan muraw usong ala. Yang raw guru la. Ramak nitalakta. Raktel o maralir.
Ang mga babaeng may edad 21 pataas ay kailangang magpapaptest kada 3 taon.
Sa datin na sontartua, lari sa kwano, anana na token sila ng HPV.
Ewo fesin, todo kuwan foundation. Ato geriawak na test, may oposud, ewa semwet HPV. Eri fefire sa rifirifit, iya patufit singeriare pagi. Ekari ni sakaw, dari tentu burut, nanabut, may apatsakurel fefin medicine. Kirisam.
Tampakatilin cervical cancer arangan prevent na from notification moving yal mga unkotafalaika cervical cancer.
Ara komin matan fokokos.
Be a well woman.
Mga pakla ba dingiyo?
Tufna kada pinipin ang raiwege da health rodai.
Piata li kailan na.
Zangen meggat itatatanya.
Maging malusog po tayong mga kababaihan.
Kitsvefi si puede petiveteresito resawal yeririsits puede papatsakut.
Take the first step to becoming a well woman and call Todu Guam Clinic today at 671-649-TODU to schedule an appointment.
feel that this environment is for anybody that wants to try something new. Whether it is CrossFit or powerlifting, we offer a safe space for someone who's never been athletically inclined to try something that they've never done before.